internally. We have talks internally why time tracking is important, and we know a lot of users uh, feeling towards time tracking is not the greatest, but the value that time tracking gives the entrepreneurs is irreplaceable. Knowing where the time is being spent, knowing how much money to charge a client, knowing if you're on budget. So the data that the users put in is the most important part of the system. So we spent a lot of time making our system as user-friendly as possible to enter time. Just so you know, we track our own time. I've been tracking time. I've been Dovico 23 years, so I've been tracking time for a very long time. I am in the top 10 trackers, and I will show you at the end. I do have proof that I am have been tracking time, and our team has been tracking time. It's just a little bit of a joke. But let's get started here, and I'm going to share my screen. And if you guys can see this is just our log on screen. And I'm going to log in here as myself.
Oh, you haven't shared yet.
Oh, sorry. I will. Now?
Yes, it's starting. Yes, there you go.
Great. All right. So, as most of you are aware, and I'm sure a lot of you may be long-time Dovico users have been tracking time, that could probably show me a trick or two about tracking time, and I'm sure there's some new users here today. But this is our log-on screen, as most of you are aware. Sign in with your email address and password, and click login. So initially here, I am not logging in. I'm not logging into Dovico as an administrator. I'm logging in as an end user. So the most important thing for me to kind of tell you here is I find that using the browser as a time tracking tool over the other tools in Dovico most beneficial simply for its simplicity, the layout, because the mobile app and other apps don't have the real estate to show you all this information. And what you're looking at when you're tracking time here is a pane to your left, which has two tabs. One is your assignments, as you can see here, and the other one is task details, which I'll talk about a little further on once I create a row to track my time. So here we do have the assignments. Now, some people, depending on your administrator, how you guys are set up, this list could be shorter or longer, and it could be a lot longer. So one of the benefits to this pane here in your assignments is we have a favorites list. So what I can do is in my assignments, I could pick the items that I work on the most, and I could add those to my favorites list. And then instead of picking my assignments list, pick my favorites list, and there's my refined list. And that's the first little tip that we have there. So here to your left is the location in which you would enter your time. Now, initially, when Dovico first starts up, it may give you a prompt like this, or from a previous week, which is nice. You don't have to, remember the rows. You can use them from favorites from the previous week. Now, but if I just want to track time on one of my things from my favorites, like marketing here and schematic designs, I have a meeting, I can add it to my timesheet. So that is how I track time. So here on Tuesday the 9th, I can come in here and I can enter simply that I work 8 hours. That's one method of just entering the 8 hours that's here. Or you have the option to have a start and end time. Now in Dovico, there's under here, under settings, is a field I'm going to show you quite a bit in this demonstration, is just all the other options that you have at your disposal. So you can say, waiting the day of the week you want your time entries to start, the time in which you want them to start in the day. So they kind of like auto fall starting at 8 a.m. And then get prompted for options going from week to week. So there's a lot more there. But just showing you that when I come here, I have multiple options that I can choose from in those settings. So here, some clients people just need to know right down to the nitty gritty, like 9:31 or 9:32 or whatever it is. They just need to know the exact amount. They can do so just like that. So there's multiple ways. Now, there's also a way that it has to be on the day in which today's date. So you can see I right click There also can't be anything in the cell for it to work. So I will take this out. I can start a timer. So as you can see here, the timer will start. It has to run for a certain period of time before it'll actually start registering time, but you'll see when it starts, and then can stop or start from last and create another row and start a new timer and continuously use that timer. So there's another way of entering time in Dovico is just a timer feature. Now, if I want to add more time to the sheet, I would just pick here another project, another task, and add it to my timesheet. So here I could put like I worked 2 hours. Here I worked another 3 hours. That's pretty straightforward. But some of the right-click features people don't know about is like, what if I want to go back to that 2 hours and I want to break down the time entry? I come back in the afternoon, I work on it again. I create a multiple row, right-click, create multiple row, and I could have a separate time entry. For that same project broken up in a day. If I could like just type one in there. And then here we have the description, which would just be like, and I do have a few other things here that's on, which is like a start and finish date on the task. If the user had a budget, I could see the hours I put against it and give you a the variance on that. So there's a lot of little more information you can have here, but generally speaking, the end user does not have control over the information that's being stored beneath in this area because the admins have the ability to, if they want, control what you see in this view underneath. However, if they don't control it, you have all these abilities. You can say show certain end times, which is on, from 8 to 9:30, which I showed you. Task progress, if there was like task progress on, that's the budget versus actual. And if you had any overtime rates or descriptions that you want to show that available. Another thing that's very important for the user is this little checkbox here. But again, the administrators have the ability, I believe, to turn it on for everybody. But it's notify you when there's time to be rejected. And I'll talk about that a little further here once we get to the point where we're actually submitting time. But that little checkbox in that setting is to give you an email if the admin ever rejects time. So here is I put a little bit of time in just for today. Once that time's in, I can then click submit, which we were talking about a moment ago. Now, there's two types of submit. There's a simple submit, which just is a standard day range, like December 7th through 13th. It'll return this amount of hours for you. Advanced, I like advanced because in my scenario, I do it every week. I can just put the week in here, the week date range, and then it said auto increment. And every time I hit submit, it's just going to auto increment the date range for me because I have this auto advanced option checked. And then I can just click submit. Now notice that depending on your company, when you hit submit, it may just turn green immediately. If it does, it means that the user has it's automatically approved. There's no workflows in place. Orange means that there's an approval in place. One of your managers is going to approve this record before it turns green in this location. You can't edit the record while it's submitted or under review. However, if the user rejects it or the admin rejects it, it'll turn to a red exclamation point, and it will also have a reason when you click on it as to why it's rejected, so you can correct it and then just resubmit it. Now here is the other tab. If I click in a cell for one of the tasks, like initial design, and I click on this tab here, it tells me, if there was a description, I should put one on there, and then the team that's on it, and then the end date for this particular task. But the cool thing about this now is this is new in I believe our last release or summer release. I can say mark this complete. I can mark this task and notify the user, the admin, that this task is completed. So that's new in this version. Another way, some companies have this if you're premium. If you're not premium, this is a bit of an add-on to your either pro or your basic account. It would just be a small fee for every user that uses it, which is everyone. We can't exclude users. Everyone in the database has to use it and would have to pay for it by license, but it's not a very big cost. But what this is a calendar immigration. So when I click that button I had in the background. But let me go a little deeper here. Is down at the bottom of the settings is we have different ways to authenticate with either Outlook, uh, Google, not yeah, Gmail, or iCalendar. So essentially, you can sign in with your Google account. This is like a real Microsoft sign in. It authenticates, and then you can draw your Outlook calendar in. I didn't do that in this case. I created a little Gmail calendar just so I could have fake data to show you because I don't want to show real meetings in this calendar. But if I go add to my calendar event, it pulls in all my events that are in my calendar. And then from here, I can see what time they are. I can see the duration. And then here, I can pick which project and task that they belong to. And then I can go add the timesheet. And by doing so, once it's added, let me see here. Oh, maybe it was next week. Oh, sorry.
They were all for the same project, so I think it's it'll be in your meeting if you open the meeting drop down. Yeah.
Let me just try it again here. Let me try a different one. So for Tuesday, 10 a.m.
You didn't check the box.
Sorry. There you go. So once it's entered from the calendar, it's still editable, and you can change the meeting description from that was pulled in. You can change to whatever you want, or if it was only half an hour or 2 hours, you could alter the time entry directly in the timesheet. So that is a very cool feature to help you throughout the week if you don't remember everything you did, and it kind of fills in your week partially, and then you can kind of fill in the week. But Gmail is what I did there, but you can do Outlook and iCal as well. So you can pull any one of those calendars in. Only one, you can't pull them all at once, but that's about it. Once it's submitted, it acts like any other time entry. As you can see, this one's under review, same as the others. Now, another feature is this little icon here is just not an icon to show you the calendar. It's an actual ability to jump you around to wherever you need to be in the timesheet so that you know that that's there. Sometimes it's kind of like hidden in there, so you can just jump around. And then when I go to my next week, this is where those options I was talking about at the very beginning come into play. Instead of like adding all those rows over again, I can just go copy row from last week, copy row from favorites. And when I do so, I go create a timesheet and all those rows come over. At this particular time, the records aren't coming over, just the rows. Down the road, we're working on AI, and hopefully something like that will happen. But currently, that is how you can take advantage of not save you a little bit of time from adding all those rows from week to week. The time entry user also has a subset of reports that comes by default where you can run and see your time entries, and it can be exported to different formats, Excel, PDF, etc. And we also had expenses, and I want to talk about expenses a little bit very loosely here. Time is mostly what we do, but we do also track expenses whether it's expensive office expenses or any type of expenses or reimbursable expenses. But I want to talk about that more when it comes to the phone app here in a moment. My reports and something new that's introduced in the menu for you guys here in time entry is a time off. And before, you had to leave Dovico, go into the actual tools and features, and track time or request time off. So currently, I'm logged in as a time entry user. All that I have at my disposal is the ability to submit a request for time off. If I was logged in as an admin, I would have the ability to request time off, and I would also have the ability to set this up. But the only difference for the administrator, and I can log in at the end if anyone wants to see it or see it at another time, is when I log in, I would have all my tasks that are assigned for the leave absence project, and I could put a balance, and that's what you're seeing there is a balance for every project or every task under the leave absence project. So I don't have any balance of personal time. Let's see if I guess bank holiday was the only one. So you can create balances, and as the employee takes those balances away, they get nice reports, and there's also a nice calendar that gives you um, an idea who's off that day. So just to jump out of the browser location, like I said, this is where I would spend most of my time tracking time, just because for me, it's the fastest way. You have the most real estate. Whereas, I don't have a emulator to show a mobile app, but I will show you pictures. So we do have mobile apps. The only difference with the mobile app is primarily driven by day and is driven by project tasks and description. All the information that needs the same, but as you can see here, it's by day. So I click on Sunday, I'm entering a record for Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, and it's not the whole week. It's not the full real estate of that week. It's just per day. So it would take a little bit more time for me to track time in the mobile app than it would in the browser, in my opinion. I usually put hours in there if I have to because it needs it or whatever. The thing I wanted to mention about the mobile app mostly was I talk about expenses loosely as a time entry user. What I like about expenses with the mobile app is the ability to take a photo of the receipt and attach it to the expense entry, and then the administrator being able to see that receipt once it's submitted. That is one thing that I tell people you'll save time on compared to entering expenses in the browser. Because if you wanted to put in a sense receipt in the browser, you'd have to take a picture, email it to yourself, attach it to the software, etc. Whereas taking image on your phone, attaching it to the record is a much easier thing. Now, another thing to point out that I don't know if I have any pictures of that here is Dovico. Dovico, if you're an administrator, you have a bit more flexibility than a regular user. You will have the ability to manipulate projects, approve time, that kind of thing in the mobile app if you have access to do so. So again, not something to replace the browser, but something to give you a tool to get those done when you need to. So another thing that Dovico has, and another thing that I want to show in my Outlook, just for confidential reasons, like showing emails like this on the left, is there's a Dovico Outlook add-in. So here I can put my email address, my company email address and password and log in, and then I'm able to, very similar to the mobile app, pick the day, and then put time entries in directly into Dovico. So not having a need to leave Outlook or go into Dovico, just do it in Outlook. And then if you ever log into Dovico, all these records will be replicated and then you can even submit in this particular version as well. There's also a calendar. I wouldn't say it's similar to the calendar integration that we had in the software. Calendar integration in software is better, but this one here does something similar where I can open up one of the events and the adding will say, hey, here's the meeting details for the event, and here's the time entry. It fills all this part in for you, and then all you have to do is enter this. So again, another way to enter time into Dovico outside of the browser that could save you time. Again, this is depending on what type of company, and this is very for programmers or IT companies or people who use Jira, and people who use Jira are normally developers, and that kind of very similar to a software company like ours. We have a Jira add-in, so the ability to track time in Jira without having to leave the actual application. Again, another way making it easier And this one has a little bit of feedback. You can say how many hours you want to let the software Jira know that you have left over to do. So it does talk a little bit back and forth to Jira, nothing crazy, but it is a integration in itself. So those are the primary methods of time entry when it comes to Dovico. Now, is there any questions or anything you guys want to talk about before I tell you how I found out that I was one of the better time trackers at Dovico?
Carl, we did have a couple questions in the chat. They were answered in the chat, but just so everyone has the answers, I thought you could go over them. So first question was from Aaron. It says, is the time off function a premium feature or included in the normal subscription? So pro or basic?
Time off is included in both of those versions.
And for anyone who's interested, I did link, we recently had a time off app webinar. So if you guys are interested in seeing how that works, setting it up for your own team, I have added the link in there. And the next one is from Cody. They say, when importing time from calendar, can I set the default project and tasks that should be filled in for everything? Or is there a way to change it on multiple rows at the same time? So Cody, if I'm understanding correctly, are you asking if you're able to like set it once with the project and the task, and then later on come in and change it if you need to?
Yeah, either that or if I can, when you're adding the events, it looks like it has, all my meetings that I have scheduled. If I could select multiple meetings at once, so I can only change the drop down for the task and row one time for all of them. Like this. Yeah, can I select like multiple? And then if you change the drop down, does it change it for everything?
No.
Okay.
They're all independent. Now, the only thing I don't know is once you do it once, does it remember? I believe that's something we're looking into doing. I don't know if we're doing currently. I'd have to look into it, but like say a sales meeting's always the same project, same path, and it would just kind of remember that. I don't recall if that works like that immediately, but I can look into it.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any other questions regarding time entry or time off or anything at all?
Hi, Carl. We would have a sister company that would do a bit of work for us. However, we manually we manually record their timesheets for them using Dovico. I was just wondering if it was a feature you maybe considered or maybe plans to do in the future of maybe an Excel sheet, they fill it in and then we're able to import it into Dovico instead of having to go through about 50 users every week and manually inputting their timesheets for them.
That's how you're currently doing now, or you're wondering if you can import it that way?
I'm wondering if we can import it that way.
What? I'd have to look at the name of your company and make sure what version you're on before I can answer the question accurately. But we do have an import-export tool, so technically we should be able to import time entries. Yes,
That would be great. I'll probably just get in contact with you then after the webinar. Thank you.
that's fine. My email address will be posted there.
Yes, I will post that shortly. We did get a couple more questions come in.
Sure.
Have one from Gary Wong. Can we archive a project such that I can see the historical data, details, name, client, start, end date, and report on it, but not having the project show up in a create, build, drop down list of projects? He's already marked them as completed and an end date that is in the past.
Okay. So technically, the only way to remove something from Dovico entirely, where it's not in the list at all anywhere, is an archive, which is a little bit more involved than just marking something as complete or is finished or an end date. You can't have any time entries after this date. But we can definitely talk to you, Gary, about how we do archives. It's a little bit yeah, it's not something that straightforward that I can clear up here, but yeah, my email address will definitely be there, but it's an archive, and essentially you go in and you check it, and it doesn't do anything checking it, but we do a procedure on our end if everything lines up correctly, and we will we'll take your database offline, and we put it on a server, and we perform what we consider to be an archive, and that removes any old information that you no longer want to see in production and put it in another database, and that's the one you'd have to go into for historically, and you'd have two moving forward. But again, there's a little bit more to it than that, and you're more than welcome to ask or get in touch with me with more information about it.
Great. Thank you. Okay, another question is, how do you move an incorrect week to a correct one for an employee?
Well, I don't know if we had a tool. I know there's no easy way. Like if I put a whole bunch of time in right here and I want to move this, I have to take it out and then I have to move it over. Unless we have that I'm not aware of some sort of tool, because we used to have a tool that we used to move.
I
We used to
would
move time.
the project
I don't think we
dashboard.
I don't think we have that anymore. Yeah, we don't have a move time. Unfortunately, if it's in the wrong week, it has to be either rejected and moved or like moved in the time calendar administrator view.
Okay. And one more question. How do you show the budget in settings again?
Oh, so if I click here, it's there. Well, I don't have a budget set on this task. Let me see if I have one here. See, there's 50 here. I use 3 and there's 47. Here's the date. The way to get this on is under settings. And you can do it for a lot of people in the admin side as well. Under settings, you go show task progress. You say yes and you hit apply, and that will show that little tidbit of information. Here, I just show you really quick for all you admins that might be on the call. See, in the admin side of Dovico, you can come in here and you can go time and expense options, and you can pick all your employees, and that field that I showed you in the timesheet, you can configure it all. So show start and end times, show task progress, which I just talked about. Start of the week is on Sunday for everybody, so they don't have to manipulate all that themselves. You can do it for them, but they also have the ability. And the other thing that I talked about that I couldn't show you because I wasn't admin, and when I go to time off, I had the ability as an admin, or why didn't that work properly? Maybe that wasn't a great example. But normally when I go in there, I can set that balance. But again, like Monica said, there's another webinar for that one. But I just want to show you quickly that all those options that show task progress, it can all be controlled either by the user or by the administrator, so you can control them all at once.
And Carl, can you show how to set a budget when you're creating a project?
Yeah. So if I go into any project, let's see here, I can make them from scratch. Let me make them from scratch. So I make a project, and then I can associate to a client. And then here I just go next. And if I want a budget, I have a couple ways I can do it. I can do it by like just per task, or I can do it by project budget hours. And by that, it just means that I can put a blanket budget, like the whole project's 200. Or you can do this. So now when I add a task, I can go assign. And then here, when I assign myself, I can put a budget. I can say it's 80 hours, and that's it. Save, activate. And if I log out and log back in, if I'm not lying, oops. Yours are 80.
I have one more question. How can I add approvers to the timesheet?
How can I add approvers to the timesheet? That's easy. All right. There's a few ways. There's a few ways to have approvers. And here as an admin, we have workflows. Under approvals, we have workflows. Now, I'm going to delete this one. So generally speaking, Dovico has two ways of, I can't delete that. There's a time entry waiting for approval. All right. So there's two ways of creating approvals in Dovico. There's either creating one just generally. I can just go new and I can say, well, when these people submit their time, I'm the approving manager, or Jenna's the approving manager. So, and when I hit done, that's it. So when that person says their time, it comes to that one person and then it gets approved. But if I add any more names like this, more than one name, it's not who gets to the entry first. It's in the order. So if Jenna approves, then Jacob approves. Now, that's not to say that if you're not the administrator, you can't override this. This can be overridden. It's just the way it is. Now, the other way is you can create a workflow by project. So let's say I want to make a workflow by support, and I can go by support, and only the people assigned to the project appear as people who need their time to be approved by that project. So you never get names of people who aren't assigned. And then here I could say David is the approving manager. So what would happen here? It's kind of a bad example. I guess if Jenna was up there. So when, like, let's say, for example, when someone submits their time, if a project approval is in place and there's no general approval, if there's a general approval in place and there's a project approval in place, and I submit my time, it's going to jump over the general workflow and come directly to this project approval and get approved by David, and that's where it stops. Now, the only other thing you can do is you can check this checkbox. So you can say, when someone submits their time, if there's a project approval, jump the general approval, come to David for approval, but combine this with the general approval. So this can get kicked out to the general workflow to be approved for a second time. So you can have either one of them set up separately, or you could have them set up together. Does that make sense?
They answered yes.
Nice. Is there any other questions?
I believe that was all of them.
So I got one last thing, and like I said a little earlier, you guys are kind of probably wondering how do I know I tracked that much time, or how do I figure it out? There's something that we've been working on, and I just kind of want to give you guys a sneak peek and let you know what you think about it. So Dovico has been working on our own AI, and we don't know how it's going to look yet, whether it's going to be in the software, if it's going to be a little assistant. But what we've done is just having general language, just like we talk to ChatGPT. I've asked it who tracks the most time, and I came in second, but the only reason is I've been there 20 some years, and Gerard has also been there 20 some years. So we're not really, the best because we've done it so much. We've just been there a long time. But the cool thing is this generative AI, we've been showing people, we've gotten different reactions, and it's just primarily just your own Dovico data. It's just the ability to interact without having to go run a report like, what did we do the last 3 quarters, or are we on target, in just normal language. And I guess I'd like to get your thoughts. I'd also, though, if any of you'd like to see it or be part of we have been validating it, just getting more validation as possible is great. But again, it's just another tool outside of reports that would just give you insight into what's going on in your Dovico database. that's basically what I have for everyone today.
Thank you, Carl. That
Thank
was,
you all for coming.
yes.
It was a great afternoon.
I will share Carl's details, and thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much, Carl. You did a wonderful job, and hope you join us all for a future webinar that's going to come near you very shortly.
Carl, someone did ask a last minute question. I don't know if you still want to hop on and answer it. It says, when importing time from my calendar, can I set the default project and oh, that might be the same one as before though.
Yeah, I'm gonna check with someone on our end. Like, I know we talked about it. I don't remember if we actually did it yet. I know it's been like, if we map it once, it's gonna stay. We should. I'll look into it and somehow we'll let them know.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think my screen jumped up on the chat. That's why I thought it was a new question.
That's all good.
Oh, we just got AI questions. Will this AI tool permit drill down into tasks?
Currently this AI tool is very preliminary, like very preliminary. All we're currently doing is time data. There's no other real, it's not looking anywhere else currently yet. I know we're going to, but right now it's just more, what can we learn from it? What is it valuable? And this is kind of, the feedback I would love to hear from you guys, but the AI thing with Dovico is, yeah, very, very new, and we're only asking it time data questions. So currently, yeah, how many hours, or this quarter, that quarter, how many hours you do this, is mostly hours. We're going to make it more, but currently it's just starting.
He did give an example too. He'd like to know who is charging the most time to cap tasks. So I think that could work if it's time related.
Oh yeah, anything time related, you can ask it any question. We even asked it questions that weren't time related, and it kind of like it will answer, but we know for certain it's only for time data at this time.
Hmm. We got a great comment about, I think the AI is good, but analytics tool within Dovico would be great. That is great feedback. Thank you very much. Actually, we could show there is a bit of analytics in a way in each project, that summary button. I don't know if that is enough. Okay, and so, no, go ahead.
Yeah, the only dashboard type thing that we have outside of the reports is this summary button here, where you can click summary. It'll give you a breakdown by employee, by task, by time entry, but that's the only one that I'm aware of at the moment.
There's the dashboard.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's
You're not sharing your screen.
oh. Yeah, this is the oops. I go to the project here. Yeah, if I go to summary, it's kind of a dashboard by time entry, by task, by employee. And then the other dashboard that we have is actually in the where are they? There's a dashboard here too, project dashboard. It's not built into the actual application, but you can feed up to 3 or 4 projects, and it'll give you a breakdown of all your projects in different with different categories.
And this is also included in all the plans we're doing.
All these everything under apps and tools except for the very first Zapier. Everything else is free. Yeah. Is there any other questions or stuff?
I don't think so. I'm looking at everything over, but I believe we've covered everything.
Yeah, I could show the AI more, but I think we're gonna save that for another day. We're already over, so but stay tuned because this one is going to be coming. So if you're interested, I think it's great. I can't wait to see it in action. But yeah, I was kind of cool to see my own data in here. So if you would like to see it, or if you're admin, or if you'd like to, like, again, reach out to my email address, we'd love to show you, or have even show your data in here so you can see, what it can do. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.